It's been such a delight to hear you all pray. And I pray that this ministry may grow more and more for the glory of God. Thank you so much for letting me join you all today. And today, as I was thinking, uh, since it was it's going to be a Women's Day of Prayer, I thought I will talk about a woman from the Bible, the life story of Ruth. If you see in Ruth chapter 3, verse 11, it says that, and now my daughter, fear not, I will do to thee all that thou required, for all the city of my people don't know that thou art a virtuous woman. I think only she is mentioned virtuous in the Bible. I'm going to just share 3 points about this wonderful woman in the Bible, Ruth. And our topic is, we're dealing with I will go. So the first thing what I learned from the life history of this wonderful woman of God is she was firm in her decision, right? She said, I will go. I will get up and go with my mother-in-law. I can see, if you see in Ruth chapter 1, verses 16 and 17, she says to her mother-in-law, please, mother-in-law, entreat me not to leave thee. Whither thou goest, I will go. Whither thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people. Thy God, my God. Where thou diest, I will die and be buried. The Lord do so to me, more also, if aught but death part us. So she took the decision to get up and go with her mother-in-law. And just imagine, she's a heathen woman, a Moabitess. But look at the firm decision she made. The another daughter-in-law, Orpha, she went back to Moab to worship her idols. The Chemosh. Chemosh was the Moabite god, right? Bible never talks about Orpha again because she didn't take any good decision for God's glory and his kingdom. What kind of decisions are we taking? Are we taking firm decisions like Ruth to get up and say, I will go and do his work? I see many youngsters, many old elderly people here. Youth is that time where the important decisions are to be taken, especially marriage. Sometimes young children, I see, they take wrong decisions during the marriage time, and then they suffer all through their life. Are we praying earnestly to take firm decisions in our lives today? Secondly, Ruth was careful even in the smallest of work. You see, mother-in-law told her to go and pick up the grains from the harvest time. That was a custom. If you see in Deuteronomy 24:19, that's what it says. That was the custom of the Israelites. Usually, the rich farmers, they leave 30% of grains, while they harvest. So these poor people like widows and all, they go and pick up the grains. Okay, let me ask you, is picking up a grains a very honorable work? No, right? Ruth and Naomi were pushed to such poverty. And this gleaning work, going and picking up these grains, Ruth did it without any murmuring, without any complaining, right? So I told you, first thing, she made a good decision, a firm decision to get up and say, I will go with my mother-in-law. I will go to the God of my mother-in-law. I will go be there with her. She took a firm decision. Secondly, she did even the smallest of work without complaining. She said, I will get up and go and do even the menial jobs. Let me go and get the gleanings from there. Christian godly woman will never be lazy. The spirit of prophecy says laziness, indolence is the greatest curse of this age in its last days. Everything is so fast, right? Fast foods, everything, fast-paced cars. We don't like to wait in the queue. We don't like to wait in the bank. Everything we want to be done immediately, instantly. So in this period, everything is technology based, so everything is got easily. So we have become very, 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 you know, the hardworking is a long forgotten word, I think. People just want ease, luxury. Where we sit, we get the job done, right? The click of a button. But you see, the life of Jesus is a constant rebuke for all of us. The Prince of Heaven got down. He helped his father in the carpentry shop. He never wasted a moment. Every time he was on the go. Look at the life of Rebecca. She watered more than 10 camels, right? And you know how much of water the camels drink. And Ruth also was such a good example. She said, I will go and help my mother-in-law. I'll go. It's okay. No problem if people even laugh at me. It's a menial job, going and down and picking the leftovers. But it's okay. I will go. You know, I was brought up very pampered at home. My mother used to always protect me, you know, and until I got married, I never knew the art of cooking. Ellen G. White says every woman should know how to cook and sew. But I never knew. It was very tough for me. And finally, I learned it the hard way. So my son is now 13 years old, as sister said. Um, and my husband is a brain tumor patient. We had a lot of challenges. So from his childhood, I have taught him all trades at home, you know, since he's homeschooled. Yesterday I had gone out and come little late. You know, the whole lunch was ready. He made rice and sambar and vegetables. Beautiful lunch he prepared. We have to train our children to be tough, especially in this crisis time. Never protect or pamper your children. Let them learn hard work. What is hard work? And I have trained my son in such a way that today, even if I die today, he can live without me. That's how strong our children should be. You know, because we don't know, suddenly when the Sunday law comes, we will be, you know, scattered. In your son will be somewhere, your husband will be scattered. We don't know what is the, but great troublous times are ahead of us. Are you training your children in the right way? Yes. And thirdly, what I want to share is Ruth go, take bath, dress yourself. You know, she told him that you know, he's a relative. Marry me. You know, such a wise counsel Naomi gave. I hear complaints from many mother-in-laws. Oh, my daughter-in-law is so lazy, and my daughter-in-law doesn't know anything. Like how Naomi taught her daughter-in-law. Teach them, this is the way to do this work. Please do it like this. She followed the meticulously every instruction that the mother-in-law gave. See, God also gave meticulous instructions, right? To build the ark. Noah exactly followed what God said. To build the sanctuary, Moses exactly followed what God said. And Ruth obeyed the mother-in-law's advice. When God says something, when God speaks to your heart, when the Holy Spirit impresses our mind, get up and go and do this. Are we saying, I will go, I will get up and go, I will do this? God has told me to do this. Now, I finished master's in physiotherapy and master's in hospital management, MBA. But then when I got the call to leave all this and to help my husband in ministry, it was a tough decision though, because here I have the opportunity of becoming a, you know, there was a job awaiting 60,000 rupees with the principal of a college. And here I was called to serve in the mission with 6,000 rupees, hardly 1/10, right? It was a tough decision, but I took the decision to join my husband in ministry. And today, as I look back, I have no regrets because every day is a blessing. Every day is a miracle. If I want anything, whether it material things also, or even if it is a food or any other things I need, I ask God and immediately it is granted. That is the blessing of being a minister's wife. Not only that, even if you're not a minister's wife, God is ready to do anything for you when you believe it. No, I want to share this testimony and close our today's devotion. Um, as I told, God is providing every little thing. When my husband, I told you, my husband is a brain tumor patient. When he was sick, he had a lot of health challenges. He had a spinal surgery, and even me too. I had 3 heart blocks in my heart and a big kidney stone. Through all this, God has been so merciful to our family. He has healed us just through simple, natural remedies. No surgeries, no medicines, but just God has been so good to us. When we follow exactly the meticulous instruction, what is given in the spirit of prophecy. The spirit of prophecy is the greatest gift for the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I wonder why we are not spending time in reading this counsel. God in his mercy has given us the spirit of prophecy. And not only things or not only health, God has even dealt so mercifully with my emotions. He has been so kind with me. One night, I have a YouTube channel and I keep singing and putting some videos in it. And one night I got a message from one of our church members, very old man. He said, what is the use? You have studied physiotherapy and you're putting all these songs. Who is going to see your songs? You are doing a nonsense work. Just go. No one is going to watch your videos. Just stop all these things. It was a kind of abuse. And I felt very sad, but then I was not angry with him, because usually when when we hear people talking about us, or when we hear people are doing something bad things to us, or when we hear that they curse us, our reaction should not be anger. In fact, we should always be happy, and we should, the reaction that we should show is only showers of love, and say, fine, they don't know, that's what I always think. They don't know as much of Christ as I have experienced. Let me be more sympathetic toward them. So I prayed, I told my annoyances and my feelings to God, and I said, God, please help me. I'm feeling discouraged. Maybe I should not put any more videos. Help me. And I just slept. Early morning, as soon as I got up, there was a message. And I opened, it was from an anonymous person. I didn't even know this person. He was not an Adventist, but a Christian, though, from UK. And this person, this boy, writes to me and said, Akka, I have been hearing your songs. I am in the hospital. I'm admitted due to COVID. I'm in such a crisis time, but I've been constantly listening to your songs, and it has given me so much of encouragement and support. Thank you very much. When I saw the statement, I just could not stop crying. I said, God, somebody discouraged me last night, but today you impressed that person somewhere so far away in UK. And you said, my child there is discouraged. I don't want her to feel down. You better write a note of encouragement to her. What a loving God you are. You care even about, even, I should not feel bad. You care, you take care of me so well. What else more do we need? Let me just say one statement. When you take one step toward God, God takes 10 steps towards you. Them that honor me, will I honor, God says. So why not take the decision to honor him, to uplift him, and to uphold him, to behold him, and in these last days, just to hold on to him and his promises, because that is the only stronghold and safety that we have. May God bless us as we ponder on the life of Ruth today. God bless.